you working? Oh, nice. It works. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy that it works. It works. Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy that it works. Turn my mic up. Check, 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 check. One. Check, check, check. Turn my mic up. Check, 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 check. One. Check, 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 check. Up. Check, 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 check. One. Check, 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 check. Check, 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 check. One. Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check. That was a little too high. Turn it down. Right. Check. That was a little too high. Turn it down. Right. Check. That was a little too high. Turn it down. Right. Check. That was a little too high. Okay. Welcome. Thank you for joining. I'm just going to stream this live. We have a new video by Robert Edward Grant with Carl Randallson talking about Robert's new unfolding of some five-dimensional textures in the king's chamber next to the sarcophagus. He essentially constellates Taurus, Epicus, Delphine, Aquila, right in the king's chamber by finding these patterns in the textures of the walls and sarcophagus. He's found the Alpha and Omega. I'm gonna talk about kind of my perspective after experiencing the same constellation over the winter solstice, and kind of the way these geometries or visuals, constellations appear over top the 3D matter, and it conforms to geometry that Robert Grant talks about, and then we'll divulge into all the specifics once we get there. I got it all bookmarked up. I'll probably just turn this whole thing into a clip. Let's see if I'm still streaming, right? This is my first time. Right? It's my first time. Okay, we're still going. It's my first time. Okay, we're still going. Alright, so first bookmark I got up here talking about Gaius Ischus.
That also has the Philosopher's Stone, the same as the dollar bill, pyramid, the Eye of Providence. And this was built in 36 BC, and it still looks almost brand new today.
All right, so it's the same pyramid that's on the dollar bill. We have a dollar bill right here, right? There's the pyramid with the eye. Old news, snooze. What does that mean? So
sure does.
And there's so this is the other side of the pyramid.
Oh,
so now you can see the large block construction of the larger Jed pyramid, and so that pyramid was a 60-degree angle, the large
60-degree angle on the
larger of the two, and it had
a pyramid that represents the third eye crown chakra that is also exploded.
the equilateral triangles on it. So the two
Destroyed
representations of Philosopher's Stone, which I believe represent the pineal and pituitary glands, the pineal being the sharper of the two pyramids, the 67.4,
Sharper.
and the pituitary
one on
being
the
60.
dollar bill.
This was likely the crown chakra because we believe that the Giza Plateau was the throat. That's why it's also matching the music. So here,
Well, it's also the third eye is represented by the singular eye. It's the three-body problem of your two eyes that combine to allow you to become centripetal and see the vortex. But the vortex is represented as an eye of the storm. Okay, let's go.
here are the slopes.
I see. Yep.
So this is Michael Myers' Atalanta Fugens, which has the same 67.4 degree angle. And then this is the regular Philosopher's Stone, which I'm sure you're very familiar with.
With your
Equilateral triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Philosopher's Stone, very interesting. And it gets into alchemical jujitsu of, you know, this Freemason obsession of squaring the circle, which is, you know, legit. You know, you can square the circle. I'll get back to that.
Equilateral triangles.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so this is really what it would look like. One of them was 86.4 feet wide, 103.7 feet high, and that represented the pineal gland, and the larger of the two pyramids was 345.6, so it's the same base size exactly as Menkaure Pyramid, except that it has a 60-degree slope angle and represents the pituitary gland. But both these pyramids were literally exploded. We don't know how, right?
Yeah.
So this is...
If the Earth grids, magnetic lines, ley lines, utilize the pyramids, or the pyramids amplify these magnetic lines that inherently are entangled with the pituitary and the pineal, then at some point someone came in there, exploded that shit because probably out of fear, you know, because of oneness. Mm-hmm.
This is the picture of, if we look here, Osiris was cut into 14 parts. Davinci cut his man into the same location, cuts.
Mm-hmm.
The line at the groin, right? The line at the chest, the line at the shoulder, and at the elbow and the wrists, right? And at the knees, too.
Uh-huh.
So this is basically what we found. And then here's the dollar bill, which matches that exact same proportion.
Interesting.
Now, this is the whole Nile. And I'd done all this analysis on the Nile to look at all the temples and found that they all had correspondences to musical notes as well and astrological symbols. So that music, literally a harmony of spheres, and our precession of equinox also follows a musical relationship.
The slope angles of these pyramids are factors of solfeggios. It's the slope angles. So as a vibration from the earth gets amplified from pyramid to pyramid, if there was a pyramid, you know, for the pituitary and the pineal, those two, then you would have the amplification into 5D.
And
it's not 5D, 5E.
and you've got the opening of the lotus flower up here at the top into the Mediterranean, starting at Abu Simbel for the root. So you could look at it like this, that each of the temples are representing different astrological zodiac signs. And you have a male circle, it comes out to the golden number.
Right.
160.
So I'll go back a bit here.
And you add it to the script.
He defines
And you've
two
got
as something
pineal
interesting,
gland and
you know,
pituitary.
in terms of 3. This gets into squaring the circle. Okay.
So this is what we talked about. We talked about the square root of 2 and suffering and difficulty.
Square root of 2, suffering and difficulty.
And you add it to the square root of 3, and it comes out to very near pi. And when you look at
This is it's like the formula for your eyeballs. All 3 of them.
the degrees that represents of a 360-degree circle, it comes out to the golden number. 1618 is the square root of 2. So 161.8 degrees. So it's like the suffering and lead turns into golden ratio.
The suffering without the connection to the pineal leads to perfection because you're blooming as a spiritual being of understanding, being propelled through the mobile.
Duality turns into gold in the context of the Trinity.
You can't have spin without 2 sides. And you can't have a vortex without a spin.
So these were the pyramids, and each one of the proportions of...
Oh, I love polyrhythms. I don't know. I tried to do 15/8 yesterday, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
Menkaure, Khafre, the Great Pyramid are all matching these proportions that give us the diminished fifth, the perfect fourth and fifth, the major third and minor sixth. And that's what's defining the slope angles. That is the slope angle for Menkaure. That can only be made by a 5/4 right triangle from its cross section. The Great Pyramid represents both unison and doubling the octave because of its 2/1. So you've got 5/4, 4/3, and 2/1. And these are the proportions of the pyramid. So we have
You can
2
keep dissecting
over 1 pi.
solfeggios and factoring them.
So
forever,
the ancients
I'm gonna
figured
continue.
out that perfectly squares the circle because the base of the 2/1 pi relationship
Let's see what's this?
is the foot. And the unit of measure for the Great Pyramid is actually the long cubit.
So the measurements, as Randall, the measurements of each pyramid, meters, feet, cubits. Okay. And if you're into orgone at all, you'll know that the long cubit is very important for pulling down ether.
And they're all pointing back to 432, just in different
432.
reference points. So
Not 440.
144 goes into 432. Three times. So you got 432 for the Great Pyramid, 144 meters goes into 432 3 times, and then the Menkaure Pyramid is 216 feet, which goes into 432 2 times.
Yeah.
Divisions of 432,
What do we got
factorings of the
going on here,
specie.
Randall?
I don't know. I'm waiting here for you to enlighten me.
It's the buildup of consciousness into the 5E ether. This is a global network to pull and harness ether.
I mean, is this kind of interesting to you?
Absolutely. And 216 feet, of course, is the
Plasmic intelligence.
cube of 6.
Yes.
And a lot of other interesting things.
Exactly. Which is the compass as well.
Okay. Next. Oh, this one's interesting. So this one's a little bit longer of a clip.
You simply mark it and then draw a circle
I'm very
from it.
excited.
And that gives you the base width of the Great Pyramid.
Wow.
This is where we
And then the
evolved.
height of the pyramid is just to the center from that base of Metatron's cube. Right here. And that gives you the 51.8539 degrees.
Yeah. There it is.
There she is. And then from this, you could easily construct as well the Khafre pyramid, which comes in as follows. So you make a square of the Davinci square. I mean, not the Davinci square, but just the base, half base of the Great Pyramid square, which is this one right here, the blue.
The blue square.
You put a diagonal across it. You mark the center point. You don't need measurement for any of this. And then where it crosses the center point line, you draw another diagonal, find that center point of the circle, then draw another circle that just goes just slightly shy of the center point. And then that gives you exactly the height of Khafre and the 3-4-5 relationship.
Okay, 3, 4, 5.
You just take the top of that circle and you draw this 3-4-5 triangle.
Do it again. Oh, there's the ram. It's, or you could say that this is could be some sort of animal face. Pan.
And then where that crosses over that half point diagonal to the center, the red dots define the slope of Khafre pyramid exactly. And the 53.13 degrees. So now we've got two of the pyramids on Giza in the exact right proportion to each other, just from Metatron's cube with no measurements. And then we do the we do the following to find Menkaure. But notice the circle of Khafre is matching the exact points of the square of Khufu, showing the intentionality. It's something about the square masculine meeting the divine feminine.
Robert Grant, are you a square?
And then we follow the next process, which gives us exactly Menkaure pyramid, which now we draw these two circles right from the center point, and then see where they overlap that midpoint diagonals.
Yeah. So the biggest mistake here that Edward Grant makes is saying that the square is masculine. I'm here to tell you that the evolution of consciousness is not squaring the circle. We'll go to the next relevant clip here.
And the area of the Great Pyramid is 5.904, 9404, 264199.
Yeah.
It's the same value.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like triangling the circle.
Whoa! Okay. That's it. So, triangling the circle. This is the solution to the three-body problem. In terms of you as a viewer observing three problems and constellating a image like a Delphine or a Aquila or a Libra or a Taurus. It's left eye circle, right eye triangle, okay? And it could be a blue triangle and a red circle. Implosion. You know it's correct because see where the circle and the triangle intercept at the apex. Okay, if you look at the square, like how would you align? Combining a
So when you're talking the
Let me think
area,
about
you're
that.
talking about the area of one of the faces?
Yeah. So the area of the face of the pyramid as a cross section, right? It wouldn't be
As
the
a
actual
cross-section,
slope.
yeah,
It
it
would be the
wouldn't be.
cross section,
Right, right.
right? It matches the area of the circle that goes from the base and uses the height as the diameter of the circle.
Uh-huh.
Again, showing like extreme intentionality.
You'll begin to be able to scry if you build cohesion between the hemispheres of the brain based off of left eye, red circle, right eye, triangle. And then you have to account for the spin. They implode and then they spin. So it's the vortex of the circle and the triangle that connects you to the pineal center, thus allowing you to center yourself on the Philosopher's Stone. Okay? The Philosopher's Stone and the way it's represented is not correct. It's not how you actually see it. And if you look at the Philosopher's Stone symbol, I'll go back to it. Okay. It's you could compare it to a different aspect of the winged disc. The winged disc also is kind of has some pretty weird history behind it in terms of the usage of companies. It's very interesting that automotive companies in the electrical, automotive, political, obviously, branches and companies utilize these sacred geometries. So when you look at the logo, you're like, centered. How do I center the biofield onto the Pepsi can? And then you can do some of your own research into the amount of effort that went into the Pepsi can logo, right?
With your
Equilateral triangles.
mm-hmm.
Using resonance to build through the solfeggio's kundalini associating with the slope angles of the pyramids and a optical centering and balance between the oscillations of your left eye and your right eye as you are meditating, breathing, harmonizing with the beat. You will build the visuals into this 5E spectrum that Robert Edward Grant, kind of stepped one foot into when he was in the pyramid, and then due to the current state of evolution of the human experience, we are now able to outline and detail Aquila in the king's chamber, Alpha Omega on the sarcophagi. That's because the constellations are inherent forms of geometry that bloom from this condition that we're in as an observer on Earth. Interdimensional condition.
Right. So this is really what it would look.
And this is what Aleister Crowley saw when he tapped into the being Lam or Iwas. Okay.
Like one of them was 86.4 feet wide.
Yeah, let's go to Alan Green. Yeah, let's see what
mankind for centuries.
Alan Green says.
The position of his
If we can hear
Can we
it.
get a little more volume?
does not match the position
Sure. Let me
Can't
see.
quite hear it.
way of squaring the circle.
Let me see if I can. Why is it not getting loud for you? So you want more volume?
Yeah. Unless you just want to.
I could just talk to it. Yeah, I'll just talk to it.
That'll work.
Okay, here we go.
By raising the square circle.
So by raising the square to the center of the circle,
Yep.
right, we can find and do a little bit more investigation as to what was going on. Why did he choose this square and that circle? By the way, the square has an area of the Euler number.
Okay.
The circle has an area of pi. Area of the Euler number.
Okay.
The circle has an area of pi. 200 years before the Euler number was discovered.
Okay.
So nobody knew he was actually squaring the circle, but understanding the transition between scalar waves, which requires sexagesimal math, and transverse waves of light.
It's because longitudinal waves modulate your visuals when you're scrying. It's because this energy is translated via solfeggios and ether that resonate, scalar waves, longitudinal waves that resonate at these frequencies as well. So it's the negative space that is propagating from the observer.
So gravity and time. Gravity, time, light, energy. So he understood
The implosion, the vortex, is the cause of gravity.
this, and that's how light is made. It's, again, the Euler number is related to Euler to the power of pi. These are like super advanced principles that he encrypted. And so what we did is we started.
Euler to the power of pi. What, 2.72 to the power of pi, 23.14. 1 over 23.14 equals 0.0432. So Euler to the power of pi equals 0.0432. 432.
Looking, you may be interested to know that in Davinci's actual drawing, the diameter of the circle was 8.64 inches.
In Da Vinci's original drawing?
In Da Vinci's original drawing, the measurement of the circle's diameter for a circle and square is 8.64 inches.
Uh-huh.
8.64.
Which is like, wow, that's pretty amazing.
Wow.
So then we found that we could put the sun right inside that.
Mm-hmm.
8.64 inches. So then we extend this analysis a little bit further. That's the diameter of the circle. So then we have Saturn, which would be 7.236 inches approximately. And look where that fits, right inside the square, almost perfectly. And because it's oblate, you get the averages, and it works perfectly. You have to take the polar circumference and the equatorial. So then you just extend the squares and circles within each other, and let's see what else we can find. We already found the sun and Saturn. The center circle is root 2. And these are all root 2 relationships of each other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So each one of these is defining what the diameters would be.
Again, then the solfeggios correspond to the planets. And that's well known.
For each of these, circles and squares as well.
There's a math behind it.
And then we can compare it against all the planets. So start with the sun. So that's a perfect match. 8.64 inches diameter. Jupiter would be 0.864 comparatively, but it's just an order of magnitude. Saturn fits inside the square. Uranus fits in that circle and square relationship. Neptune does as well, and you can see these are all really, really close, like 99 point, 9 or 99.7% accuracies. But if you actually use the average of equatorial and polar circumference, they're perfect. Just like the moon, there's your 216.
Mm-hmm.
So about 13,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Vega that would have been in Lyra, right? And all of those constellations are on the north wall because those, of course, would be representing the North Star shifting. So it's like Orion is going through when he's sideways and then standing straight up and then on his side and upside down. When Orion's upside down, it seems like we're in lost history. We're in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We lose the history. We have a pole shift. And along with the pole shift usually is accompanied some sort of cataclysmic asteroid or comet and then a deluge.
All things that Da Vinci interpreted through many of his paintings. I think that his Last Supper painting describes an orientation of Orion based off of Jesus's angle of movement, his eye placement. Where is he looking in the Last Supper?
Mm-hmm.
Which sort of like cleans the set.
Well, let me show you one last image here.
Okay.
That you'll find interesting, I think. So I will do a share screen.
Perfect. I see it.
Now let me go to the presentation mode. Okay. So there you see the green dots.
Yep.
Okay, so what I've done going through the geological record, I've plotted all of the events to their dates typically are within a century. And I think you'll see some clustering happen. Now, of course, I'm sure this is far from complete. But interestingly, look at this axis that we're on now.
Yep.
The Aquarian, from the cusp of Virgo Leo to the cusp of Pisces Aquarius really seems to have a bunch of events clustered along that axis.
Yep.
We had major events at 4320 years ago. a major event at 6480. We had a major event at 8640. And all of these are.
Cleans the set.
Well, let me show you one last image here.
Okay.
That you'll find interesting, I think.
Right. Okay.
So I will do it. And I think you'll see.
He lists, Randall Carlson goes through cataclysms and deluges, and that's kind of his specialty of identifying geography that associates with cataclysms and an interesting history of, resets, and resets being associated with the Phoenix. And then, they'll go into
some clustering happen. Now, of course, I'm sure this is far from complete. But interestingly, look at this axis that we're on now.
Yep.
The Aquarian, from the cusp of Virgo Leo to the cusp of Pisces Aquarius, really seems to have a bunch of events clustered along that axis.
Yep.
We had major events.
So I'm not a chronologist, but you could associate, and if you've watched Archaics, he does a lot of great associations to, patterns in history, patterns in calendars, chronologies, and, he talks about how the simulacrum, mirrors events through history. And that is associated with these Phoenix phenomena. Like the history of the flood.
At 4320 years ago, a major event at 6480. We had a major event at 8640. And all of these are the round numbers, but they're all within from a few decades.
Get here pretty close.
Oh yeah, this is where he starts to show the geometry on the.
So I can trace it using AI
on the wall in the Great Pyramid, the King's Chamber, behind the sarcophagus.
And this is Delphinus.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the arrowhead right there as well, riding the Pegasus. And this is from the actual King's Chamber wall, filming it. And then from this, we see the Aquila, which is also in Capricorn, and they're all next to each other in the zodiac. And so if this was true, then we realized that next to the Aquila should be a fish right above its wing. And guess what? There's a vesica right on that wall. You can see a fish.
Aquila's important. Aquila's very important. And also the momentum, the directionality of Delphine and Pegasus is very important, and then an arrow suggesting directionality. And what is this hand that Delphine is gesturing? Just throwing up that right hand, all fingers out. Interesting, huh?
Fish right here. It's like an eye shaped.
Mm-hmm.
See if I can bring it down a little bit. You see the fish right here with a tail?
It's hard to make out on a large. Yeah, okay.
There's a fish right here, and it's like, what the heck? And it's exactly in the spot that you would expect it to be Piscis Austrinus. So the winged horse is Pegasus right here. The Piscis Austrinus is right above the wing of the Aquila. The Delphinus is the woman. The Aquila is the bird. The Sagitta right next to it. These are exactly the deacon.
The Sagitta points to where the third eye alignment is. And since it's in the Great Pyramid, it would probably be aligned to someone who is at the right height or proportions as a person to align to this magnetic line. And maybe that's Grant. I don't know. Maybe that's Grant.
Of astrology.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're telling us something about obviously these, constellations, etc. But I'll show you this one last thing. So I think we're definitely on the same hunt here.
It would appear so.
That's definitely what it's feeling like. So let me find this for you. Okay, here we go. So,
This next one.
and then you got the Sphinx right in front of it.
Oh, yeah. The pyramids are...
Can you believe that? And it's literally Orion's belt, and then you got the Sphinx right in front of it.
What was that Davinci up to?
Well,
So I just wanted to point out Orion's alignment. The belt, it's the arrow, and that's also matching the trajectory of Delphine and the arrow.
well, he worked for the Sultan of Cairo.
Okay.
We do know.
This could also be a cross. If you have this 45 degree or whatever, this angle from his right hip to his left, his spleen, his stomach area.
Know that now, and look at that. Look at that. So, here it is. It's all hidden in plain sight. I think what we're to be the reason why people like you and I are getting this information is because, there's part of it that has to survive through.
I believe this is the split of consciousness between people accepting these 5E principles. Okay, this is kind of the collective split. Okay, people who are willing to take a look at geometry, understand how it interacts with their face holes, understanding that there is no outside. It all is matter that is propagated from geometrical principles that are interpreted by a observer.
And we've got to somehow get this information out. I don't know if you saw that movie Don't Look Up, but sometimes I feel like that because I feel like something's definitely coming.
Mm-hmm. Well, based upon the
Karma.
chronologies that we have now available, it would seem like we're due for, a nodal point.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
due for a Phoenix event.
And so that's what I wanted to share with you because, obviously all this stuff, it's also very beautiful because what's happening now is the divine is like revealing itself.
Mm-hmm.
because we made the switch. We found the eye.
Which
We imploded the vortex.
I think is wonderful. But we're going to go through
The 10 Commandments. Can't save most men, huh?
something I think very, very significant in our lifetimes. And I feel pretty confident. And one of the things that's really important is you asked about Davinci. Davinci, in the last 10 years of his life, did several drawings of deluges.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not just normal deluges. So you can look them up. They look like water springing out of giant mountaintops. As if the way he describes it is a crust-like displacement, a mantle separation.
Davinci, in these deluge drawings, expresses how the Pied Piper comes in and causes deluges. It's the it's a volatile frequency collapse. And that's essentially what the phoenix is, depending on the observer of the event, the karmic reflection of that lifetime in which you've experienced the phoenix deluge. Davinci understood plasma physics and how it propagates into the geography of where you live. He shows this in The Last Supper, shows this in the Mona Lisa, and I think for sure he expresses these deluges, you know, and the amount of accuracy he has on other paintings in terms of alchemical practices. You know, it's interesting to kind of think about Da Vinci's motives, you know, if he's trying to alchemically cause a deluge or if he's just trying to express a scry. You know, he got some information about Phoenix events or, you know, intuitions in which he decided to illustrate. And I have all kinds of theories, but essentially it's Aether. EA. Let me show you. I have some photos that imply that other people in association to the Phoenix understood the way that plasma physics propagates, and you can scry into the future. You can implode into portals, vortexes of information that are beyond you, beyond your kind of 3D knowing. All right, so here's my Phoenix folder. Bring it over. There's a bird. Very low res image, but this is Euler Euler to the factor of pi. This is 21 or 23.14. One over 23.14 equals 0.432. Let's take a look at the whole thing. This is the Gorbenikov flying 2x4 with the scooter handle. Essentially, he put bug wings, some kind of beetle wings, in which he didn't espouse. And he essentially drew this equation on his flying device, in which he claimed to be able to travel thousands of miles per hour on. And if you look, it's this chemical equation down here is chitin, the the substance that insect wings are made out of. And as we look at the shape of the beetle, or this flying bug, this bug with wings, a beetle of some sort, it follows a proportion of chitin, but in a mirror context. So essentially the beetle is a mirror. It's mirroring the chitin formula. And then G is the gravity. Gravity is, it's the ascension of gravity. So Euler 2.72 to the power of pi equals a factor of 432. So it could be psychically powered. Essentially, there's a meditation Viktor Grebennikov mastered in terms of manipulating gravity and using chitin structures that are insect wings, and there is a gravitational effect that causes levitation that is required for the observer of the movement to obtain. This gets into the physics of UAPs. All right. So this is Fang. This is just a last name, a Japanese last name, that includes many interesting aspects. A Jed pillar. The Jed pillar is a mirrored E. And that's like on every Jed pillar. There's different kinds of shapes and things. Jed pillars kind of are determined based off of the locations, magnetic lines, and kind of ley-land intersections, and that's how you would determine the placement of a Jed pillar. But the interesting thing is 5E. Okay. Keep going. Keep going somewhere. Just mirror mechanics. Mirror mechanics. Two kings of cups both have their spouting urns of water. Okay. Here is one of the deluges. I need to figure out what is written up top here, but this doesn't look like a mountaintop. This looks like a valley that's kind of imploding. And these look like towns. This looks like buildings or stone structures. But if we look at the bottom right corner, how do I zoom in here? Oh, let's go back, sorry. There's a ER. ER. Yeah. ER. And it's a Davinci. We look at all the shapes. How does he proportion his little curly cues? In pretty much every painting, drawing, self-portrait, Mona Lisa, which I'll take a look at in a second, but E. E, 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 E. And then depending on the trajectory of the form, you know, you get 99999, you get sixes. And perhaps this is the warning against the 666, you know, meditations, because you're kind of, are you expanding out? Is E the proper proportion out? You know, it's E or 6, depending on the, you know, what side of the vortex are you viewing? You know, which side of the spin? It's the same vortex, it's just where you're viewing it from. And this is the interesting part when it comes to Orion's rotation. And Robert Grant talks about the, you know, bad times when Orion is flipped on his head or laying down. And this is something that plasma physics and cave paintings display as well. Okay. It's like a winged beetle. Enki just has a Jed on his hat. Just a Jed hat. Okay. Ah. Enki. E being hyper important for Mesopotamia temples. The E temples. All temples starting with the letter E in Mesopotamia. Enki, where Enki built his civilization, and where they found these things, these hieroglyphs. Okay. Next, that's Grebennikov. Just more E's that tie into brainwave implosion, corresponding to the caduceus. If you look at the caduceus, he's essentially Hermes is Delphine, you know, gesturing to Aquila, and then he's flying over the curvature of the earth. All right. And then we look at this one. If I could zoom. How do I zoom? Anyway, the phoenix is E's. There's E's coming out of the tail, sort of like a peacock. It's kind of like peacock feathery. I have a. There you go. Okay. And then you look at the lute here, or the harp. The harp has the E as they're staring at the sun, playing music. each string most likely associated to a solfeggio. They have multiple harpists with multiple tunings, all potentially tuned to factors of 432. Another caduceus. The Dorje, the Vajra, E3, imploding, longitudinal waves, capturing ions, emitting ions, cycling the vortex around a singular point with conductive materials that harmonize with Euler. Okay. Fang, another Fang that expresses E in 3. This is probably one used for a lower class Fang, since this is also Fang. Jekyll Island is associated with the Phoenix. I'm not sure how much I care about that. It is an eastern point of America. The shape of Jekyll Island is similar to an eagle, an aquila. It could be a vulture. Yeah. There's just all kinds of hypotheses around Jekyll Island being associated with Phoenix events. Florida is also associated with being a Garden of Eden. Eden. Phoenix. Very simple. In the shape of an E. All right. Oh, that's a better one. Yeah, that's the one with the tail. See the kind of spiraling backwards. Ultra top secret. Oh yeah, this is a top secret or a declassified PDF of control panels on a UFO or UAP vehicle that was collected and researched. Okay, that's very interesting. But here's Wang. Yeah, just double E. Probably associated with families that understood jet mechanics, especially when you look at buildings, Chinese buildings, Eastern buildings that have been recorded essentially accumulating charge above their finials. Very interesting. And there's a high quality video that I've seen archaics play of someone taping the finial of one of these I don't know if it was in China or Japan, but the Oriental style jet building accumulating a plasma ball above its finial. Not edited, raw footage. Okay. This is a better photo of the E harps. We have two harpists that are playing the E. But I am curious about, potentially the differences between the harps. Obviously, they're chording, in a sense. Let's look at Grebennikov file again. Open. Big. Okay. Grebennikov. The shittiest photo in the world. Just some, I don't even know what this reaction is. Chitin kind of looks like wings, huh? More photos of the scooter handle. Yeah, we'll just fly a couple thousand miles an hour on a wood plank with a handlebar. Kind of hand tightened bolting. Which I understand. I mean, like, you know, I love it. This is the kind of thing that I feel I could build, you know? I could build this. But, you know, it's a matter of which harvesting beetle wings? There has to be some, you know, especially chitin, there has to be some kind of way to enable this chitin anti-gravity effect without harvesting beetle wings, like hyper rare beetle. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking like when they sell chitin, it's like crushed seashells. Okay. Check out this. Interesting geometries. It's like an electron photo of chitin. And they're all a bunch of ERs. ER. If you see the implosion, electron photo of the implosion. A being the center, ah, and then E, or a hard E, being projected to the right and then mirrored out to the left. Check this out. Who is this guy? Who wears this? This is a robe that the Pope wears. This guy has all kinds of interesting connections. And I'm still trying to figure out, like Grebennikov's beetle, this guy is also a formula, essentially. ER. You see his feet kind of make a E, and then in the center suggests ah, and this is some sort of plasma physics for what would, you know, who is this entity? Is this just like a humanoid equation, right? But the placement too is above a cross, and then if you look at the cross, you see, oh, is that a 3? Is that an E? It's the transitional state of plasma projection in a toroidal field. The alignment with this guy is interesting because if you were to align to the pineal, the third eye projection, you would essentially be centering your vision around his crotch. This would be where in any other natural line you would find the Illuminati eye. if you find the E, you will find the pyramid. You will find the proportions of Jesus from the Last Supper. You'll understand the caduceus of light in which you as an observer is absorbing via two hemispheres of the brain. I also believe that this is the equation that bees utilize. It's like, why do bees fly when their wings physically, as humans understand, or as modern science understands, bees fly with wings that are too small. And like the bee movie says, bees don't care what humans think are possible. Human belief doesn't influence belief. B B E E E E E E B. Here is a diagram of the undercarriage of his flying wood plank, and then beetle wings. Arranged in the geometry that Robert Edward Grant talks about at the different solfeggios. And due to proper geometry being conducted from a meditation and the conductive handles, probably unpowered, powerless, propagates gravity, influences gravity. You see this factoring? Factoring of 432 according to the pyramids. Okay? Combine that with Chidden. And then you combine that with a personality that understands the Philosopher's Stone and actually obtains it, because the Philosopher's Stone is more of a geometrical center point in which the implosion happens and then the mere physical is then propagated out. Okay? And that is how gravity forms. That is why objects fall to the ground. Okay. Just gonna keep going. Am I still rocking? Am I still live? Let's see. Check the stream. Make sure we're... Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So we'll go. Oh, look, we'll go to Dante. Yeah, Dante. Come on, there you go. Load the thing. Load the photo. I took a screenshot of this one because it was different. Most of the depictions of Dante have him like this, facing to the left, to the red. Okay, and that is associated to the left side, red circle. Left eye, red circle. Feminine, red circle. Okay. See? This is an allegory. He also is wearing Christmas colors. He's little Kris Kringle. Little Crisp Kringle. But if we look at the women, we have red on the left, blue on the right, yellow in the middle. Got it? Princess of Cups. Always depicted in red. Merlin. Ezekiel's wheel. Merlin. It's my impression that Merlin is sort of the antipode character to Dante. Okay? And I'll show you a interesting Van Eyck comparison. Let's go Google. Pretend to type. Van Eyck. Van Eyck. Okay. Let's take a look at this photo, this painting. Good grief. Okay, come on. There it is. So, Van Eyck and his, painting of the married couple includes the smear in the back, and it's reflecting two characters in the painter position. Red and the blue. Red and the blue. But it's interesting because it's a mirrored photo. And I believe it's to hide some mirror mechanics. Perhaps Van Eyck doing some mirror alchemy in terms of the subjects in the painting, and then of the painter being essentially two gestures, two different people sharing the same nodal implosion. And it is possible for two beings to share a single point of implosion. So, if we look at like this very old school depictions of jesters, there's always two, right? Left red, right blue. Jesters, here, it was FF9. There you go. This is what I'm thinking of. Happy face, sad face, you know? Drama. Shakespeare. I need a pee. Alright, bye.
And that the water comes from inside the earth. That's the way he described it. He became very Nostradamus-like in the last 10 years of his life. There are many, many paintings of the Davinci deluges.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. Yeah, I'm gonna have a fresh look. See if I can discern anything happening there.
And I even think he describes a comet or an asteroid or something.
Well, that would make sense. Sure would. Because that is something that I think you could actually plot the timing of that based upon cosmic rhythms that are governed essentially by the same numbers. And if those ice sheet destructions are the result of cosmic impacts, or say possibly another would be the solar activity, heightened solar activity. But there's an interesting thing I have only begun to explore into it, but what happens when you have the infall of cometary masses into the solar chromosphere? It seems like there is evidence that the rapid acceleration of a comet mass, even of, say, the scale of Halley's Comet, actually seems to trigger a response in the chromosphere and introduce instabilities that lead to mass ejections and solar storms and so on. So if you had a major influx of cometary material, whether it's a single nucleus or, let's say, like in some of the scenarios of Victor Klube and William Napier and so on, who've been looking at the potential of a large-scale influx of a large comet that breaks up and undergoes a hierarchy of disintegrations, and then eventually that is disintegrates into dust on some of it. Some of it is impacts planets, and the rest of it is sucked up into the sun. And if you had a very large-scale infall of cometary mass into the sun, there is some evidence that seems to be suggesting that there could be a pretty significant outsized, disproportionate response on the part of the sun. So it could be that, we're looking at these kind of things that could be almost like perfect storms, where one trigger can cause a whole cascading series of feedbacks. That, I think that maybe even a lot of the activity that we are still experiencing in terms of seismicity and volcanicity are still the after effects of what happened in the Younger Dryas.
Yeah.
But I am going to have to run in a minute.
Yes, me too. But
the red dust in which the masons used to build the red bricks and the brick stone buildings. Perhaps not the Freemasons, though.
Thank you so much, and we'll schedule another time.
Oh, yeah.
When generally would be good for you?
Well, this is a pretty good time for me.
Okay.
I'm going to be, between now and about the, the 14th of this month, I'll be on the road. But then I'll be back, and I'll be around for about a month.
Speaking about red bricks, I have a brick screenshot somewhere. Oh yeah, this is here's a glyph. Here's a sigil from Rudolf Steiner's mystery novels, in which Rudolf Steiner channels a story about these high level spiritual practitioners and their ordeal with Lucifer and the other one. It's Lucifer and what's his name? It's the other one. Oh man. And sorry guys, I'm totally blanking. Ahriman. So if you look at the mystery novel plays of Lucifer and Ahriman being taught or expressed by Rudolf Steiner, Lucifer being red, typical, Ahriman being blue. So the duality of even the more malevolent characters even have this blue and red duality of the from the observer's perspective. And as these characters in the mystery novels meditate in the purple room, Ahriman and Lucifer have their diatribes and try to convince these characters out of spiritual progression. And the solutions they find, Maria finds, is extra dimensional, and due to the changing of the epoch, is the changing of the rules. And the wider the perspective Maria can bring herself to the conclusions of the dynamics of Ahriman through multiple lives and Lucifer, she overcomes and saves, I forget their names, Capacius and the other guy. There's another guy that get trapped by Ahriman in the spirit world. So they are trapped in the blue. Maria being the purple being the combination of red and blue in meditation, the purple fire, Saint Germain, Zoroastrianism, she overcomes Ahriman and Lucifer. Okay, let's go into the history of Davinci's red chalk drawing, yes. His self-portrait. And there should be a there's like a Daily Mail article, which I typically avoid the Daily Mail with like a pitchfork, but interesting that it's the Daily Mail that's talking about hiding. Okay, allow ads, whatever. Cool mail online. Refresh. Come on. Okay, so intense gaze. In an effort to stop H-Man using it to gain even greater power, because it's said that if you stare into the eyes of Davinci, you begin to have brainwave coherence because he utilizes geometry that connects you to this plasmic world. And he's showcasing how he's modulating the plasmic structure, or how he's observing the plasmic structure, and from the observer, a self-portrait based around the proportions of finding the philosopher's stone and the centering of magnetic lines. You get true natural lines in your painting, and then you go wild with the pareidolia. It's pareidolia 2.0 that brings you into the 5e realm, in which energies of other beings and entities can communicate using this pareidolia. It's only pareidolia if you see yourself as separate from the faces and the texture. Okay? It's only pareidolia if your streamline of consciousness is interrupted. Okay. And that's why, the gazes. These guys sit and practice gazing because you have to sit and meditate to find your philosopher's stone. But due to terrible karma, and then also perceiving yourself as separate from all God's creations, or deeming entitlement because you've seen the philosopher's stone, only kind of disfigures your own karma. It only causes self-hatred, because to hate something on the outside, it's still you. So any hatred towards externals is still self-hate, self-strife, or insecurities, or whatever. I am. I am the I am. But this was not the only painting in question that was interested by the Reich. Let's go back to John von Eyck. The Ghent altarpiece. The most stolen piece of art in history. Claimed, stolen by Napoleon and Hitler, kind of deal. Let's go to Wiki. We'll get a bigger photo. There we go. So the only missing panel from this altarpiece would be the bottom left. The judges panel. Okay. I wish I could zoom in a little bit more. I'll take a screen. Can I zoom in, please? When I look at these rocks, all I see are the E's. When I look at these rocks, I see similar structures to the deluge photo we looked at earlier. Sorry, I bring it back over. There it is. When I look at these rocks, it reminds me of the deluge photo that Davinci also drew. Let's see if I can find it again. Go. Davinci, a deluge. Where did my where did my thing go? Where did my night go? Oh, there we go. Look at that. What are these proportions? Where did we just see these lines centering over the lamb? Let's zoom in. Still getting the hang of it. Can I scroll to the left, please? Hello? Wiki, you're pissing me off, dude. I rebuke that. That's not a good word. Save it. Save. But we'll zoom in just once more. Okay, I can't scroll left. Beautiful, dope. But the rays from the bird, either the white dove, these proportionate lines are going to match your Grebennikov. Let's see, right here. Okay. I think I'm, you know, we're at an hour 40 at the moment, so I think that'll do it. I'm going to put together a bunch more ideas. Thanks for watching if you did. If you do, you know, this is my first time streaming, so appreciate the support. hit like. I don't know, share it. I have like 3 subscribers at the moment. I'll post some clips on Instagram, I guess. I think that's the better idea. Anyway, look into it yourself. Okay? Don't trust me. Just know what's true. Just know. Just know. Don't you know? Anyway, I'm not claiming anything is entirely true. I am just using my gift to ideate. Just using my gift to ideate. Anyway, have a good day, y'all. I'm going to stop